Andy Anderson's balance on a skateboard is kind of in a league all of its own. And I think he shows that here with this front Smith down. I think it's a 29 stair, a long, mellow 29 stair that you really gotta sit on it to grind it all the way to the end. Front Smiths is a trick that I feel like I should have. It's a trick that I've done a handful of times in the past, but sometimes you do a trick and when you're rolling away, you don't know how you did it and you go and try it again and you can't do it. So although I've done some front Smiths, I don't understand them. I can't do them consistently. I wouldn't say I have this trick by any means. So today I want to break down Andy Anderson's technique to front Smiths and then see what I can do to actually copy his technique so that I can try and understand this trick, figure out what I'm doing wrong, and add another trick to the bag. So from watching Andy Anderson's front Smiths, my hypothesis is that it's all in your head. Basically, your head controls where your body goes, and if you watch Andy Anderson, all of his weight stays completely over his back foot during the Smith grind, because that's where the grind is actually happening. So if you watch him ollie, his head goes from being directly over the center of his board to his head being over the back foot. So as he ollies, he pushes the board forward and leans his body onto that back foot so that he can hold that grind in place. You can see it really well on the 29 stair clip. You can see him kind of fighting it as his head kind of moves forward and back to try and stay over that back foot. And when I try front Smiths, I typically get into the front Smith and then it starts to over dip. Like I'll get into the lock and then my nose will just kind of dive into the ground. So my theory is that my head is way too far forward, and that if I can focus on ollieing and pushing my board in front of me so that my head stays over the back truck, I think I should be able to get some Smith grinds. So as you can see, it's a pretty dreary, gloomy day and it's supposed to rain later. So I'm gonna go to this undercover area that you guys have seen me skate before, and to warm up for the front Smith, I'm just gonna do a ton of 50-50s backside and front side to really get comfortable sitting on the flat bar, and then eventually I want to do a front 5-0. Once I get a front 5-0, I'm hoping I'll feel kind of in control enough to start trying a new trick. We'll start trying to push the board forward, keeping our head back, see if we can push some front Smiths. That's the goal for today. Let's head over to the spot, see if we can make it happen. Okay, so surprisingly that went like pretty well. I think the key for me was really just taking so much time doing a lot of front 50s and back 50s and then doing that front 5-0 to really like convince myself how confident I was like on the rail to really feel it out. But as far as the front Smith goes, aside from just like building confidence with the 50-50s, I do think that this technique of pushing the board forward and getting your head back really does help. For me though, main issue is I understand what I'm supposed to do. I understand that I'm supposed to get my head back over my back foot, but I feel like what I think is over my back foot is really in front of my back foot. Like I've heard people say when you're trying to Smith, you just need to lean back and then lean back some more and then lean back even more. So that's kind of what I tried to do. I kind of just approached it like a front 50, but as I was rolling up, I kind of imagined in my head that I was already locked into a front Smith. So like I was already getting my weight and my head back over my back foot before I even ollied. So I imagined like I was front smithing ollie to front Smith. So like I was kind of getting my body in the front Smith position before I even ollied into the front Smith. And the more I focused on front Smith, ollie, front Smith, the easier it was to kind of like hold the grind all the way through. But I did find as well, there are like some issues with your shoulders with this trick. Like with a front 50, you kind of like open your shoulders as you get into it. With a front Smith, if you do that, at least what I was finding is that made my dip even more accentuated, and I already have a tendency to nosedive in. So instead of opening my shoulders, I kind of like close my shoulders to try and keep my shoulders in line with the rail so that I could come back out forward and not kind of like open up and then over dip. It's still definitely like not a trick that I feel like I totally understand. I've actually DM'd a couple other sponsored skateboarders on Instagram trying to ask them like their thoughts, and a few of them have gotten back to me, so I will be making like sequels to this, trying to really figure out that front Smith, because like I said, I feel like we can all understand, you can visually see it like, oh look, his body weight is over his back truck. But as far as like how to actually do that, for some reason is not super intuitive, at least for me. I know for a lot of people this trick is a lot more comfortable than like front 5-0, and I can totally see that, but front 5-0 to me is like way simpler. You kind of just ollie up, you get the right lock and just kind of lift your front leg up, and front 5-0 just works. Whereas front Smith with this whole dipping action, for whatever reason, like it like creates more friction for me, which I think is why people like it. You feel more in control, there's more grip, but then at the same time for me it like over grips and I end up sticking and like nose diving. So I do think that I'm on the right track with this keeping the head over the back leg like Andy Anderson. But I did notice today watching one of his front Smiths that his head is actually in front of his back leg. On this clip right here, it's a Smith kickflip out, and this kind of like ruined my whole theory of getting the head over the back leg. But the more that I watched it, you can see his head is forward, but look how far he sticks his butt out on this one. He's bending his knees a ton and his butt kind of like sticks out backwards. So even though his head is forward, his butt is like kind of counterbalancing, so his weight is still super over the back foot, and you can tell by the way that he shifts his foot to get it into the kickflip position to flip out. So I think this is something that I might need to focus on as well, is not just my head, but getting like my butt like back and like bending my knees more and really sticking my butt down and back to like sit on the front Smith. Because even if you like put your head back but your legs are stiff, you're kind of gonna hit and just like fall one way or the other. But the way that he does it is he like bends his knees a lot and kind of sticks his butt back there, kind of like an anchor to hold everything. So that's gonna be kind of like the next step next time that I try front Smith, is like sticking my butt out. Obviously I do think that keeping the head over the back truck is a really good way to think about it as far as getting your weight over the back foot. But I think if I do that and then also kind of sit my butt back, it will really help me stay in that back seat even more. And I think the front Smiths will become a lot more smooth and just more intuitive to sit on and feel comfy actually locked into the front Smith. So hopefully that's the case. Either way, super stoked on the session. I don't know how many front Smiths I did, but I did a fair amount. Beyond that, at the very end, I was like really feeling like sitting back on my back truck, so I thought maybe I could try a back feeble, which is a trick that I hate, but sure enough, I was able to squeak one out. It's gonna be raining and snowing for like the next few weeks, so you're probably gonna see a lot of footage of me skating that pavilion, which will give me plenty of time to practice my front smiths. Comment down below if you have a flat bar trick that you want me to try and learn. I've been trying to get the hang of like back lip. I really think that front feebles might be on the table for me as well, and obviously back feebles, and of course like I'll keep making videos about front smiths as I'm trying to go through this process and figure out what I'm doing wrong. So hopefully that was entertaining for you guys. Hope you had a very Merry Christmas. Make every day a Friday, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.